All right. Post-game reaction show here. The A to Z Sports Big Orange post-game reaction show. I'm Charlie Burris. That's former Vols quarterback Jonathan Crompton and the Tennessee Volunteers. Goodness, just steamrolling in that second half. Tennessee 51, NC State 10. We just bared witness to a murder. That was a tough second half for NC State, I would say. That yeah, what's up, Crom?
No, dude, NC State. Yeah, we just made them look like a very, very subpar ACC team.
Yeah, they were pretty pedestrian.
You know, I mean, oh crap, how do you say his name? Concepcion. Yeah, he's a good ball player. But him only getting 5 receptions tonight, shame on NC State, like for not trying to. Now, granted, kudos to us on our defense, but I'm saying, but not targeting him more, that's bad coaching on NC State's part.
Not a lot went right for them, obviously. A bunch of turnovers. They just, we're going to talk about it all. In post-game, of course, brought to you by the good folks at Farm Bureau Health Plans, also Zen Sports. We'll talk about all that in a little bit. High level on this game in general in that second half. I think this game went the way that a lot of Tennessee fans thought you did. You got a lot of people before this game who weren't Tennessee fans going, oh, NC State, I think they might have sandbagged that Western Carolina game. They're going to come in. They're going to be a lot better in this one. No. Don't kid yourself. I texted y'all during that second half, and I said, I predicted a blowout. I predicted a 20-point blowout. I mean, a 3-touchdown win. And that was not anywhere close to enough. 41. I'm selling them short. 41-point win for Tennessee. Just an absolute annihilation. What's your high-level thoughts after watching that one, Crump?
I mean, I thought we were very productive in the second half as far as run game. What I did like to see is what came to my mind early in the second half is similar as our offense is to 2022. It's also vastly different. Like, I know it sounds weird. I get it. But we're really heavy 2 tight ends right now.
Yes.
We weren't heavy 2 tight ends in 22, but we're still productive. You know what I'm saying? Like that I wasn't shocked, but I guess I would say it was kind of like slightly caught off guard. You know what I mean? I love that we're a run first team, but I'm saying like the personnel, that's a good thing when we can go heavy personnels and still be productive in the pass game, because it's run, play action, run, play action. That is where we're good. 44 rushes, 23 passes. That's Tennessee football. We don't have to throw the ball 58 times a game to win ball games in this fashion. That's when we win football games in the SEC. That right there. So that's kind of what my initial thought process was we were 2022 productive, but 2024 2 tight end heavy. Like that's what I liked.
And I've always kind of felt like Heupel wanted to go in that direction. The tight ends have always been an extremely important part of what his offense does, and maybe he just hasn't had those dudes. I mean, you got Kitzelman. He was supposed to be at least initially the thought was when he was coming in, he's supposed to be almost like a third string guy, kind of a depth piece. And he's out here without a very ticky-tack penalty called. He would have had a legendary game here. He would have had a two touchdown game.
That one in a 1-score ball game, I could maybe see that. It's depending on the angle. It's depending on the angle you're at. But he would have broke 100 yards receiving. He would have been our leading receiver.
Yeah, where was he? He was 3 receptions for 39 yards and a touchdown as it was. Holden stays, another tight end, gets in with a touchdown right there at the end.
They don't make that ticky-tack call. He's over a hundo and leading receiver.
Yeah, that was interesting because you really didn't get anybody else. Brew McCoy just ended up with that 1 reception. Chris Brazzell 3 for 18. Caleb Webb had 1 for 8. I mean, you didn't get the wide receivers in on this one almost at all. And
do you see how I was saying, like, we're 2022 productive as far as points?
Yep.
But we're vastly different. We are very, very tight end heavy. Tight end. I mean, the most receptions by any player tonight was 3. So the ball's spread around, but we're not having to focus on, let's get a receiver that runs a 4.3 and run by somebody. That's kind of our evolution now in this system, is we're seeing we can still be very productive, but we are going to be run heavy, and Samson is our workhorse.
I do feel pretty good to that point. During our show, myself, Zach Reagan, the Big Orange Podcast, every Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. I felt pretty good because I said during that show, if NC State, if that sort of lame duck version of NC State shows up in this game like it did, we might run for 250 on these boys. Yeah, 249 yards, 249 on the ground. Nailed it. Of course, I think I did say that Dylan Samson would go for 250, and it was 132 for Samson, which is a huge day. And then 65 for Nico, 42 for Deshaun Bishop. I love that. The son of Carnes High School, baby, right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. I love that Deshaun Bishop got in on the action today. But this was beautiful. And I say with Heupel's offense, you can call it gimmicky. You can say whatever you want to say about it. I don't care how we get there. As long as you're putting up 51 points against a decent football team, I don't care how you do it.
Well, hold on now. Yes. Don't give NC State too much credit. I don't like NC State.
They were really bad.
I'm saying that because I don't like NC State. That's all. There's no other reason besides I just don't like them. So let's not give them a lot of credit, because NC State, in every aspect, I don't like. But no, they're a good football team, but they're a middle of the road ACC team at the moment. They really are. So when you're playing a middle of the road ACC team, you do what you're supposed to do, and you beat them by 41 points.
Yeah,
that's impressive. A good team. Make them play to your level, don't play to their level, and that's what we did. But so I enjoyed seeing that. Like, just as honest as I can be about it. I thought the play call on Nico's, we can call it a QB draw, but it was actually really quarterback counter. But still, I thought the play call was exceptional in the moment. They go 5 for 5 out wide, which means they've got 6 defenders. We've got 5 linemen, right? Chris, I will tell you why I hate NC State in a moment. Just remind me. He asked why. I'll explain it. It's actually kind of a funny story. But I thought that was an exceptional play call, leaving the offensive right, defensive left, defensive end, quote unquote, unblocked. It's a hinge block by the right tackle where he's actually got to take 2 and just kind of get big. Right guard did a phenomenal job of kicking out their right, our left defensive end, and Nico just kind of leaning left to get the D end to stay out so he could lean back in right behind the guard. Phenomenal play call in the moment. I'll tell you this, not a lot of coordinators are going to have the guts to call that play in the sense of they've got 6 up on the line of scrimmage. Like, they've got 6 up, we got 5. That's a gutsy play call, and that is trusting your O-lineman. I enjoyed that play call in that moment. I really did, for a 31-yard touchdown run. At that moment is when you kind of knew, all right, they have no answer to what we do.
No, they had nothing.
Yeah.
And after you wore them down, this was another thing I actually said in the podcast this past week. I thought that it could be close at halftime. I mean, you were by 17. Define close. Relative to the final score, it was close.
Yeah.
But I sort of thought maybe it could start slow. NC State, has that initial rush at the beginning, but you just ground these boys down to a fine pace. This was just Tennessee having more dudes with more talent, and they're more, making plays more consistently. Like, that's plain and simple. You had the guys to win this game, and they didn't. And that, hey, fair enough. That's SEC football compared to ACC football pretty much across the board right now. Because even Vandy looks half decent this season, which is ridiculous.
But Cal, it's weird to say Cal in the ACC, but Cal beating Auburn today also makes me very happy.
That is an ACC SEC matchup, isn't it?
Makes me happy. Don't like Auburn, so that actually makes me happy. Not gonna lie.
I didn't even think about that.
You know what? Yeah. You know what I said? I said selfishly, I would love to see a Cal Stanford ACC championship game just to piss people off.
That would be great. Cal Stanford ACC championship game played in San Francisco.
No, because dude, it's played in Charlotte.
Oh, is it played?
So like nobody's gonna be there.
That would be so great.
Like selfishly, kind of want that. Not gonna lie, kind of hope that happens. But that's that's just being an ACC hater for no reason.
Yeah, they don't have it. You go down the list, like Florida State stinks out loud. Clemson just doesn't.
Hey, now Miami is good.
They looked, Cam Ward is a dude, and
Miami looks good. They look the part.
Realistically, they're probably going to run that league this year. So
I think so. I do. I really do.
But with that said, let's go here first, and then we'll go a little further into running down what happened in that game. But to everybody watching, we got a ton of people in here. We appreciate everybody watching. It always means the world because we literally couldn't do it without you. Drop into the comments if you're watching. Tennessee 51, NC State 10, and give us one word only for how you're feeling about this Tennessee blowout win, and how Oklahoma on the horizon. Kent State first, and Kent State had lost to a high school team today. I'm pretty sure. Not great. It wasn't actually a high school team. It was a very low level team that they lost to. So drop in one word. I'll throw it to Crump here in just a second for his one word right after I tell everybody about Farm Bureau Health Plans. Farm Bureau has been serving Tennesseans for over 75 years. Much has changed in Tennessee over the years, but some has stayed the same. Farm Bureau has always valued personal relationships, especially when it comes to good health and good service. Plan on Farm Bureau Health Plans for health, dental, and vision. For better coverage, better rates, and better service, go to fbhp.com/ATOZ. We're walking to one of their 200-plus locations across the state of Tennessee. That is fbhp.com/ATOZ, Farm Bureau Health Plans. I just realized I forgot to put up the little banner. There it is. Plan on us for health, dental, and vision. Farm Bureau. Go get you a health plan. One word for how you're feeling about Tennessee and the state of things through two games, a 51-10 blowout over NC State. I'll throw it to you, Crump, first. Your one word for how you're feeling at the moment.
Dominant. Just all around. Every aspect of the game, all three phases, offense, defense, special teams. I mean, there was, like I said, outside of that first drive, you're always kind of filling them out the first drive. A game like this, neutral site game, you don't really know what's going to come when they, we defer. Just like I said, all around dominant. We out total yards. We beat them by 317 yards.
Oof.
They had a total of 39 rushing yards. 39. I know sacks going to play, all that stuff. Doesn't matter. We outrushed them by 210 yards.
It's nasty work.
So to me, just all around dominant, every aspect of the game. They started, it's an impressive feat here. They started on the first drive. How many third down conversions?
It was too stinking many. 3.
How many did they have the rest of the game?
Did they? 0 for the rest of the game?
They were 3 for 12. They were 3 for 12 on third down.
Holy cow. That is impressive. That's very impressive.
That's why I'm going dominant, because we dominated every aspect. Like, the only thing I would say was if I'm trying to get nitpicky, we missed a 53-yard field goal at the end.
I like that Heupel let him try it though.
No, that's 100%. I'm just saying, like, if I'm really trying to get nitpicky, that would be the only like blemish on the day. I was like, oh my god, well, it's 53-yard field goal with a freshman. Yeah. I'm not mad at that. He had delayed to get it there too, so that's the positive of that. Like, we dominated. How many times do we normally win the time of possession? Not often.
Yeah,
we won the time of possession by 3 minutes tonight
against a team that theoretically their strategy probably would have been, had they played their game and been able to impose their will, probably would have been to hold on to the ball and 100% own time of possession. That's how a lot of teams have tried to beat these Josh Heupel offenses. So
yeah, I mean, and like I said, I just keep going off of that. Like, they had 1.4 yards per rush. We were 5.7, dominant. 4.7 yards per pass, 9.2, dominant. That's why it just
is what it is.
As soon as we took the lead, we didn't look back, and we showed them, or not just them, but I think we showed the whole country tonight, that we're a damn good team, and now we just got to stay healthy and continue to do it.
Yeah, NC State's not great, but it definitely was a statement.
They're not. Hey, I'm not going to sit here and say you're right. They're not great, but they were still a ranked team when we played them.
Yep.
And bottom line is, you still got to play the game. And Western Carolina University is not a great team, and they were tied with with NC State in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
So you still got to play the game. So that's why dominant in all aspects of the game tonight. Our coaches were better than their coaches. Our fans are obviously better than their fans. So just and everything, we just dominated the piss out of them today.
Absolutely. Reitz says casual. Again, this is one word for how you're feeling. After a 51-10 win for Tennessee, Reitz says casual. Ethan says defense. Pat Rose says satisfied. Borkington says hopeful. Nasty from Chris. Nico says James. Bill says potential. Randy says finally. Sean dominant, just like Crump. Corey combines two words and says tight ends.
Love it.
Jimmy.
That's my favorite one.
Eric confident. I don't mean to copy anybody here, and this is going to kind of move us into what I was going to talk about in the latter half of the show here. Mine is going to be defense, and here's a fun stat. Tennessee still, the only touchdown that NC State scored was a defensive touchdown. An unfortunate pick six that was just kind of an unlucky carom offer of a defensive player's hand. Yep. You haven't given up a touchdown. I forget exactly what it said in game. I think it was 10 straight quarters in game, and now it might be 11 or 12. That stat said that it was the longest streak in America behind only Georgia for denying touchdowns from your opponents. Now, Iowa has had one of the worst offenses I have ever seen. And that UTC game, it was UTC. But here, you shut NC State out with a guy who they brought in from Coastal Carolina that was supposed to be, not even supposed to be. He has been good. Like Grayson McCall has been good.
He played at Coastal Carolina.
He did play at Coastal Carolina.
Listen, man, I'm not hating on any level of football. I promise I'm not hating on any level of football. I mean, I promise you, there's a difference in playing at Coastal, and there's a difference of playing at Tennessee. There's a difference of playing at Coastal, no doubt. And there's a difference of playing at NC State. That's just the bottom line. And I'm not taking anything away from him, but yeah, it's the same. It's the same thing like Florida State. Florida State's screwing up by going after DJ after he's shown he cannot do anything at two previous schools. That's NC State's fault.
He's not
fault,
great. Yeah. Let's see. Eric says, character Rich says, trust Chris potential, Mr. Jones championship. William optimistic. Jacob development. Steven optimistic. Zach ready. Chris confident. Ben Hall says statement. Complimentary ball from Ethan. Ethan, that is 2 words. Justin Stride. Educated says pumped. Sorry if I can't. So many responses here. Nug says BDE. It definitely was. Tennessee set it right out there for him. Timothy Rogers says TFL. Apologies if I didn't get to reading yours. We just had so many responses there. But to go back, I mean, the defense here it was truly impressive tonight. They were up in NC State's business, and this is what we were hoping for. I mean, this is the exact outcome that I really was hoping would happen here. I don't know that the secondary full blown proved itself tonight, or they didn't really have to.
They didn't have to. I mean, they're young.
They
young,
are
young and with experience of playing.
But I will say that there were a couple of impressive tackles. Jermon McCoy had a super impressive tackle to stop a fourth down conversion. That was a heads up play and a really strong tackle. And there were plays made by the defensive backs that were really nice, but that defensive line, it is as good as it was billed. At least, through NC State. I think there's still an element here where we, just like we did with UTC last week, I think even with NC State, you are going to have to preface it like they're not SEC competition. We still got to get there. Although Oklahoma tonight almost losing to Houston.
They're not SEC competition. They're not SEC competition by any means, but they are a Power 4 team. They've had good runs. That's the winningest coach in NC State history. So, I mean, he's done a good job recruiting. We just took it to him. Top 20. I'm like I said, I'm an NC State hater, but the bottom line is they're still a top 25 team. We were just that much better than them. So I'm not going to take anything away from us because I just hate on NC State. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not going to do that. We were just that much better than a top 25 team tonight. It's plain and simple.
And I do wonder what the response is going to be to this win. Does Tennessee go top 10? And do they try to play the Oklahoma Tennessee top 10 game? Now, Oklahoma not really holding up their end of the bargain here, nearly losing to Houston. The only reason that Houston didn't have a chance at a game-winning drive in the final 2 minutes was that they worked themselves into a safety. They should have fielded a punt. They didn't. They let it go down right near the goal line, and they got a safety. It sucked. But Oklahoma not exactly looking like a world beater themselves, and that's your next big game. As we mentioned, Kent State. I'm not sure that one's going to be super competitive next week. But
we have a legit chance to go 4 straight games without giving up a defensive touchdown.
I mean, legitimately, Houston held Oklahoma to 16 points, 2 touchdowns. And so, I mean, that really might be on the table. If you can hold Kent State, you never know what's in a game against Kent State. You never know what's going to happen with the backups when you throw them in the second half. But this is going to be a pretty crazy streak if you come in. Let's see. Austin Stanley just texted us. He said 12 straight quarters without allowing a touchdown on defense. Mm-hmm. And 2 of those teams were ranked, Iowa and NC State. Again, Iowa had one of the most impotent offenses I think I have ever seen with my own 2 eyes in that bowl game last year. But
had a damn good punter.
Oh, man. And thank God for that, because if they didn't, they wouldn't have anything at all.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, and do quickly explain, as you've already been saying, why do you hate NC State so much?
All right. So I'll very quickly, when I was getting recruited, NC State was heavy in the mix. We go down for a big visit, a big recruiting weekend, and Chuck Amato. And it's not really NC State, it's Chuck Amato. But since he was the coach, I blame the university. Okay. So we're in his office, and my old neighbor was one of the equipment managers. So obviously, just because of personal relationship, they were high up on the list. It was cold and rainy. My mom had a sweatshirt on that was of another team because that's all we had in the car. And there may or may not have been the ACC. And he goes, "You can't wear that in my office." And my mom was like, "Well, can I just get a sweatshirt while I'm here and I'll give it back to you?" You know what I mean? He goes, no, I'm not doing that. She goes, "Then I'm not going to take off the sweatshirt. It's cold and raining." And he was like, "Sorry, you can't come in our facility." And she was like, then your bottom line is my son ain't coming here. And so he tried to argue with my mother. So me, my dad, and my neighbor, his office overlooked the stadium in the end zone. And we have our noses up against the glass going, this is not going well at all. And he's sitting there trying to yell at my mom. And if anybody that knows my mother, that's the last thing you can do at all. And it was a lot. It didn't end well. Say it that way. The whole day did not end well.
I mean, the mid 2000s
he was being a douche to be a douche.
Yeah.
So now I relate NC State with Chuck Amato in every sport, and I'm like, I just can't root for you, big dog. Can't happen. Like, they had a great one in the NCAA tournament. I'm like, God, I kind of hope you lose. Like, I'm sorry.
I mean, like those visits are expressly made to make you feel welcome, make you feel like you want to be there. And I mean, the parents are always so pivotal there. That's a wild thing to do.
It was, and the best part is my neighbor was the equipment manager. He's like, she's going to give it back. And he's like, nope, not doing it. So in every sport, I honestly, they can be playing North Korea. Let's go North Korea. Like, that's how bad I hate NC State. So tonight was so satisfying to me. Like just seeing them get beat down in every way. Yeah, like Chris said, nobody else at Mama. And it didn't. So Chuck Amato, a lot of so at my high school, the kids, 90% of them don't know who that is. And I've got my quarterback is an NC State fan. And I'm like, buddy, Monday's not going to go well for you. Sorry. Talking smack to a 16-year-old. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
Like my starting safety, NC State fan. I'm like, I know your parents may have went there. I still hate them.
My father-in-law, who at this exact moment is sitting in my living room because we had a football party, NC State alum.
Yes. Loser. Sorry.
I'll go tell him you said that.
Sorry. Guys, I can't help it. It just blurts out when it's NC State.
Yeah, that's hilarious. That's a crazy thing for a coach to do.
Good times. So then, to icing on the cake, though, on signing day, he has a press conference and tries to talk smack about players leaving the state. And I was like one of three that left the state. And I'm like, suck it, dude. Like,
wonder why.
Yeah.
God, that's crazy. Well, great story and a great reason to hate NC State. And what a cathartic night for Kronk.
Yeah, so honestly, tonight was very satisfying for me. I'm telling you guys.
Yeah. I mean, good Lord. What an absolute beatdown. But want to cover all the bases here to make sure, because next week, essentially, this post game is going to be about Oklahoma. It's going to be an Oklahoma preview. Essentially, let's be honest.
Yeah.
You'll actually be at the game, correct?
I'll be at the Kent State game. Or if we can call it a game,
scrimmage.
Yeah, spring game. Hopefully, but that'll be fun. Me and my wife will be there. We haven't been back to a game in a long time.
Yeah, that is really great.
Hopefully our defense continues that streak, which I think they will.
Oh, that game's at 7:45. Beyond here.
Dude, I know. And listen, man, I don't do well with like late time outside of I say that, but we play on Friday nights. I got home at almost 2 a.m. last night because I stay after the game and watch the film. That's the only time I do well with being up late. So after the game next week, I got to drive home.
Oh, dude.
I know. It's okay. Parking in Knoxville sucks. We all know this. So we got to figure out how we're going to do this. But no, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun back, hearing Rocky Top in person again, hearing the crowd get hyped up, watching touchdown passes and Samson getting loose down the sideline. I'm excited as hell for that. Well,
if you need any suggestions for places to go and things to do, obviously I have around 30 years of my life I've been in Knoxville, so I know it decently well.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. I'm somewhat familiar. But I like this question. We'll finish with just a couple things. Like I said, I wanted to make sure we just sort of cover all the bases. Give the people what they're wanting to hear here. Brett said, I've been thinking for 2 years that Samson was the most talented back Tennessee had. These last few games, in my opinion, have proved that right. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I've been high on Samson since he showed up.
He's a dog.
I love watching that kid play. I mean, but just the way he plays the game. He runs hard. But his patience, it's so hard from a football standpoint to like, especially from running the ball, telling somebody, hey, you like slow down, like let the hole develop. That's very hard for a running back to do. Watching him sometimes almost come to a complete stop when he like while he's waiting for the hole to develop is so impressive, and then be able to go from 0 to 100 in a second.
Yeah.
That's what I like watching him. He reminds me a lot of Kamara, where I know he didn't get a whole lot of touches early on in his career at UT because of Hurd, but he reminds me a lot of him, just body size and I guess maybe the number has something to do with it too, because they look similar in that sense. They run similar. They're tough as hell. Like just both of them are. I've been high on him since day one. I know that, our guys last year were productive, but if you go back and watch the shows, I'm like, man, get Samson in. I want to see this kid with the ball. I mean, he to me, he's one of the best, and maybe I'm a little biased, and I guess I should be. I think he's one of the top 5 running backs in the country. I really do. Like pure running backs. I'm talking about like running the ball, pass pro, catching, like everything included.
Yeah, as you said, his patience, and then when he finds his spot, his ability to accelerate so quickly is incredibly impressive. But the thing that I always see with him is that leadership. There's been multiple clips that have come out of him, leading in a huddle and being that guy that is the leader of the whole group and vocal and out in front. And that's always so good to see. It's something you saw a lot with this baseball team that just won a national championship for us, was athlete leadership, that you could never have enough of that, in my opinion. And it's something that, in my past radio days, interacting with a lot of the former players, and specifically the dudes off the 98 team and the teams that were so great in the 90s, there was always a through line when you talk to those dudes of, this guy was on a team. He was an absolute dog. And if you didn't play up to the level, he would come over and tell you about it, because he wasn't going to let you affect the team like that. And it's anytime I see that now, it's so refreshing. It's so great. And even if those dudes don't always have the top level of ability, thankfully Dylan Samson has both. Even if they don't have that top level of ability, that's an incredibly useful thing. And I love it.
In my honest opinion, I truly think that he's got a chance to get 1,400 yards rushing this year, I think.
Sure.
I mean, if 1,500 would be 125 a game through the regular season. That's a big task, but average that to 125. Next week, in all honesty, he could screw around and get 125 in the first half next week.
Yes.
But I do think that he stays healthy. He's not splitting the reps like we did last year and the year before. He's the workhorse. He's got a chance to actually get 1,400 yards rushing, double-digit touchdowns, stuff like that, that's exciting to see. I mean, he's already got 5 on the year. That's where I'm excited, because I think everything, as good as Nico is and as good as our skill players are out wide, our offense is going to run through Samson, because we're a run-first team.
Yep. He is very much the real genesis, him and the offensive line, and that all working cohesively is really the genesis of everything. If that's working, you're probably going to have a successful day.
Yeah.
Almost certainly. And you look at the schedule right there at the end of the game, they brought up a graphic that was the possible win percentage for Tennessee, or the percent possibility that Tennessee will beat this team. It was near 80% for everybody except for Oklahoma, Bama, and Georgia. And I think for Oklahoma, it was like 49% or something. But if you can establish that run game in any given game, that to me, that's going to go up to like 70%. If you are asserting your will on the ground, like we know that this team can, as it is all but over for Tennessee because it just opens up every possibility for you. So,
well, kind of just before we get into the other stuff, Brett's World brought up, he said, early thought, but thought nonetheless. Do we lose Samson and Squirrel to the draft of the season? I honestly, I don't know about Squirrel, but Samson, if he goes for 1,200-1,300, he gone.
You got to assume, yeah.
Because to me at that point, I think, and I could be wrong. Once again, it depends on health. But if you notice how good he is of a student and his intelligence, his football IQ, all that comes into play when you're interviewing with teams. I could see no less than a second-round grade on him. You get a second-round grade, you're leaving.
Mm-hmm. And you should.
100% you should.
Yeah.
Now, selfishly, from a fan's perspective, I wish you wouldn't because I like watching him play. But from the business aspect, if he has the season that I think he can and he stays healthy, I think he'll be gone.
Yeah, and Timothy asked, why was Selden out? It was injury. Now, he had that preseason injury where it was sort of uncertain if he was going to play in week 1. Obviously, he ended up, he was the first guy to touch the football last week. He caught the kickoff. They didn't say. There's just some sort of indeterminate injury. And I don't know. You saw Tyree West go down with injury in this one, and I didn't see if he ever came back in or what might have happened.
I didn't see either.
I don't want to, speak out of school. I did wonder if it was a fake to slow things down or just
but the way he was holding his leg, it almost seemed like he did something to his knee or shin, like maybe tibia, fibula, because the way he was holding it. Now that is complete speculation, because the way he's holding it was not a cramp. Cramp, it doesn't matter if it's a calf. Your leg is straight out and you were holding the back of your leg.
Yeah.
So first thing that came to my mind was, a knee. I know that sounds awful, where you're not gonna go down to fake something and holding your knee. But it could be something just as simple of, maybe a sprained an MCL that he's out a week or two. Like I don't know.
So this was Heupel's press conference 7 minutes ago. Heupel said, "I think he'll be okay, but we'll find out soon."
So then his knee. It's a knee thing.
Hopefully not, because man, he looked like an absolute dog in the first 2 games.
Totally
he
agree.
played so hard. Dang, that would be real crappy if that happened.
No, I agree, but that's the hard part with football. Like, we can be the best team on paper all day long, but the bottom line is you got to play with what you got. And it's the next man up mentality. The good thing is we are getting our roster to the point that we have depth.
Yes.
Like that's what we've been lacking for so long. Even back to 22, we just didn't have a lot of depth.
Hopefully can't
really do anything, but you can't. Your ones can be better than everybody else's ones, but if you only have half the team with a backup, a legitimate backup, because how it works at this level, your number 1 and 2 are really both ones. If your team, if you're wanting to compete, your 1 and 2 are really ones. Your 3s are really your backups.
I mean, that's the main thing that makes Georgia just so hellacious year in and year out. They replace a 5-star with a 5-star. Yeah, they're just
and that's what I'm getting at. Like you got to have your 1 and 2 at every position. All 22 starters on offense and defense. Your 1s and 2s have to be legitimate 1A, 1B. That if something happens and you need to throw them in, you go, we don't miss a beat. Like that's just how it is. That's what Alabama had done for a long time. Georgia's doing that. Yep. And USC's heyday, they did that. And when Miami was the U, that's what they did. Like that's what it is. I mean, hell, Miami, when they were the U, had 4 deep. But that's how you have to do it. We are there at a lot of positions. I don't think we're there at the quarterback position, if you want to know the truth. If Nico goes down, knock on whatever we'll knock on, I don't know. I know he knows the offense, but I don't think there's a threat to an opposing defense to go, all right. You know, we're kind of worried here.
Yeah,
like,
more.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think we have that, and that's why I did say at the end of the year last year we needed to go get a proven college football player or quarterback to come in and compete, even though we knew Nico was going to win it, to be essentially like Ole Miss did with Sanders from Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
That if something happened, hey, you've won 25 ball games in your career. We're eventually going to have to get to that point to be safe to protect ourselves.
Well, and the recruiting that they're doing right now, you are setting yourself up to be that way. That this is going to be a borderline elite recruiting class that they're bringing in. If everything finishes out correctly, you don't lose any guys, you get a couple more. I think it's the future can be very bright if they continue on the current trajectory of everything, and I think this season can be very bright, very special.
Yes,
you got to take advantage of the opportunities that you're given, and I mean, I just hope. Like a dude like Tyree West, who I think it feels like he's close to being a breakout kind of star guy. That would be an absolute shame if he goes down. We have to dip into the depth, but thankfully to that point, there's a lot of depth on that defensive line, and you're not just going to take a huge drop off from there. All right. Well, we could keep talking in circles about everything, but it's midnight Eastern time.
Yep.
Anything else for the folks at home, Crop, before we bounce out of here?
Not really. Or two things, I guess. First, who's just said it? Hold on. Where's it at? It says, sadly, Kentucky is possibly the worst team in powerful football. That's not sad. Oh. That's great. It's Kentucky. That is a great thing. It's Kentucky.
They look so bad.
Good. It's Kentucky. Sorry.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
Listen, if I'm not a fan, obviously, but no, I had to throw shade there. And I lost it. It was Jacob. Was it Jacob? I think it was Jacob. Since going to the game next week, asked if he'd get an autograph. Yes, I will be. My section is X1. If you just head down that way, X1 row 15. There you go. Come on down. I'd be more than happy to. Okay, I'm not going to say that last comment. That's bad. That's bad.
Come on.
Bad. That's just
we definitely should not say that. YouTube is very sensitive about funny, but YouTube's very sensitive about.
Well, no, Billy Bob Taylor. Now that comment's phenomenal.
Florida versus Kentucky will be aired on Nick Jr. later this season.
Love it. Love it. Yes.
Boy. Great ending to the show there.
Those are the comments I'm here for. Let's do this. But in all seriousness, my last thoughts are screw NC State mentally, but they're a top 25 team. We beat them by 41 points. We instilled our will on them. Right. There was a comment a minute ago, and I think it's so true, but I'm going to twist it a little bit about our quarterback threw 2 picks and we still won 41. Well, the second pick, he's trying to get the ball out quick enough. He's getting hit as he throws. Arm gets hit, can't fall through, ball pops up. That's a fluke deal. Yes, he gets that stat, but that's a fluke deal. You know what I'm saying? Yes, it goes as an interception, but in my head, I'm not counting that as an interception when it comes to today's game. So 16 to 23, super efficient. That's what we need. But remember, even when Hendon was here and we were on a roll, we never really threw more than 225 a game, did we?
Generally speaking, yeah.
211 a night. We all remember. We said if we can go back and look into them if we really wanted, anytime that year we rushed for 200 or more, we had a really good chance of winning. Well, if we rush for more than we throw for right now, we got a good chance at winning because that means we're ball control during the game. We have control of the line of scrimmage. We have control of the scoreboard when we do that. So that's kind of my outcome. We had 38 more rushing yards than passing yards. That's Tennessee football.
Yep. Perfect.
And so that, like, I'm not going to be mad at a quarterback, as y'all know this. I'm not mad at a quarterback throwing an interception for throwing it into a tight window. It's not going to happen. So the first interception, he just led him a little far. That's a young player. You know what I'm saying? That's going to happen. So our defense only gave up 3 points off of it. It's a team game. That's
and
the
one
beauty.
One of the funnest aspects of what we just watched is that, realistically speaking, barring injury, unforeseen circumstances like that, things should only go up from here. Like, you should only get better.
Yes.
You should get more crisp. You should cut down on penalties. You should cut down on bad throws and become more composed and better at what you do. The more that you practice makes perfect. So man, this went about just like last week. Went about as well as you could have hoped. Overall, the sad part for NC State is that realistically, Tennessee probably could have beat them even worse, and somehow they didn't. Because
you were nice about that. Because to me, the sad part about NC State is they're NC State.
That is true. It's a tough night for them always.
It is,
as it were.
Dude, they got to live in Raleigh.
Hey.
Honestly, I'm not trying to hate on the city of Raleigh.
Yeah, I was about to say, as somebody who's, I have visited Raleigh a few times.
No, I'm not hating on Raleigh. That was just,
nah.
NC State is so atrocious that their football stadium, they don't even build on campus because they don't want them near the campus. That's how bad they are.
It is weird. Like they just never. It's. They have more history in basketball. Obviously, they made the Final Four this last year, and they've won a national championship back in the 80s. And football has just always been so weird with them. Like, they just don't. I did like this. Educated Opinion said Kentucky versus Florida on Nick Jr. No, more like Comedy Central.
There it is.
Great.
There it is. Love it. Love it.
We could end on that note. There you go. It's 12:02. We're both.
Yep. I need to go to bed. Getting
delirious here. Charlie Burris, former Vols quarterback Jonathan Crompton. Look out for him at the football game next week if you're there. This was a good one. Ton of fun getting to watch NC State get humiliated and Tennessee play well. It was awesome. Thanks to everybody for watching who commented. Obviously, hundreds and hundreds of you. This was a ton of fun. Thank you for watching. I always say it. We literally couldn't do it without you. And I mean it every time. I think that'll do it. We appreciate it. I'll be back. Big Orange Podcast Monday, 6 p.m. on the A to Z Sports, 6 p.m. Eastern on the A to Z Sports National YouTube channel. Watch out for that. And that's it. Myself and Crump. We will talk to y'all next week.